more than 100 years ago, it was General Andrew Jackson who took the same exact path on one of his military campaigns, a path that now bears his name. Now, today, it's the Olympic torch and our own hometown heroes making the journey that will take them to the Space and Rocket Center. How's this compared to 84?
Well, 84, it was, of course, I was in Los Angeles at the time. It was a much bigger, it's on Ventura Boulevard, as a matter of fact, where I saw it. Lots more people, but it's still very exciting, very much like this.
It was marvelous, experiences for little kids, and to grow up and be able to tell your grandkids that'd be a real good experience.
It was great. I mean, we'll never get a chance to see that again. That was just wonderful. It was inspiring.
And now the 15,000-mile journey one step closer to Atlanta and the Olympic Games. Reporting from the Huntsville Five Points District, Rudy Koski, WAFF 48 News. Now back to you in the studio.
The torch emerges from the early morning haze. It spent last night in Huntsville on the way to the Olympics. Even early on a Saturday morning, kids came out to see it.
It means a lot because I could be in bed right now.
So could these crowds lining a busy highway. It's a time families wouldn't miss, even though they couldn't always keep up. One man doubled a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
But we'll be seeing this torch pretty close because there's going to be exchange here. That's exciting because yesterday there were so many people.
Yeah, it's lucky that we live there, so it's right in front of our door.
Jennifer Pence is also glad to live here. She says the torch burns away political lines.
Because of the politics concerned in South Africa, we never thought we'd ever be a part of it. And here we are, right here.
She did get to see the flame as Bobby Willis passed it to Tina Arbus. She and her son say she trained hard. Her husband says she spent too much time eating donuts.
Well, it's fitting that the last stop is a cemetery, and with all the training or lack of training that she's been doing, I think that it's probably real appropriate.
The torch run just came through here in Madison. Now, didn't stop for us. The Olympic flame will go on to the Olympics, where we hope to go now. I couldn't catch up with the flame, but Ricky Wisnett did.
I was worried about the railroad track down there. I had dreams about it last night, but I got across it all right.
He carries the Olympic torch because he answered his brother's dreams by saving his life.
I had leukemia, and in '89 I had to have a bone marrow transplant, 90, and he was my donor. He's a perfect match.
You can find heroes like Ricky Wisnett every mile or so passing the flame from Athens that will light the Olympics. In Madison County, Ryan Korsgaard, WAFF 48 News.
One airport that already has tight security is Atlanta's Hartsfield International Airport, where extra measures have been in place for months to protect Olympic fans and athletes. Channel 48's Mark Thornhill joins us now live from Atlanta with more. Mark?
What timing, Tom? There's a helicopter hovering overhead, a security helicopter. You couldn't have timed it any better. Federal Aviation Administration today asking officials at Hartsfield International Airport, as you mentioned, here in Atlanta, to step up security patrols. That, of course, in the wake of the TWA tragedy. The interesting thing here is that Hartsfield isn't having to increase its security nearly as much as other major airports across the country, basically because security measures are already tight at Hartsfield, of course, because of the Olympics.
In the sky and on the ground, it was very much business as usual at Hartsfield today. In fact, a larger than normal group of TV crews was the only reminder of last night's crash. Now, it may not all be obvious to people, but there have been some subtle changes made not overnight last night because of the tragedy, but because of the Olympics. They placed these concrete planters as barricades in front of the entranceways here to prevent cars from crashing through. They've also placed some anti-ballistic film over the windows here to prevent dangerous shattering if a bomb should go off.
It's on my mind a lot, but I just have to play the odds and get home.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to head on down to Atlanta and find out what's happening at the Olympics. Kimberly and Mark join us now live. And guys, with the opening ceremony slated for tomorrow, the excitement must really be building.
Yes, you can feel it. Definitely is, as you said. We're here at the Olympic Athletes Village.
That's right.
This is where, as the name would imply, the athletes stay. Their families are here with them as well. It's kind of neat to get this close perspective.
That's
here.
right. This is the first time we've been this close.
And this is obviously a very high security area, and security on the minds of many in light of the TWA tragedy. In fact, today, the Federal Aviation Administration asked Hartsfield International Airport here in Atlanta to increase its security patrols. That's in the wake of the TWA incident. Interesting thing here is that Hartsfield here in Atlanta didn't have to do nearly as much upgrading, if you will, of its security as other airports across the country, basically because they're already tight around here because of the Olympics.
Drivers of vehicles dropping off and picking up passengers at the curbside have been asked to stay with their vehicles, and vehicles are being towed if they're found unaccompanied. We have expanded our security checkpoint to accommodate the additional travelers, while at the same time maintaining the high level of security which we have at the airport.
I think everyone's pretty under control, and I'm sure America's taking precautions as far as the Olympics, and they're certainly watching out for it. So it's made me a little nervous, but not any more than flying anyplace else. And I think if anything, it's probably one of safer places to go.
Did you expect maybe to see tons of security here at the airport or whatever?
Yeah, maybe. I haven't really looked too much, but I always kind of figure if they're good security, you don't see them, so.
Now, a couple of things they've done there at the airport. They have put some concrete planters in front of the doorways, the entranceways there, obviously to keep vehicles from crashing into the building there. Also, they put anti-ballistic film over the windows to prevent shattering. If bombs should go off there, they could become deadly projectiles. They want to head that off, so some high-tech things. They are high-tech measures they're taking to head things off. And again, that was basically in place anyway, even before this latest tragedy.
We were out there Sunday, right?
Right.
And things were pretty tight then.
Right. And I know that a lot of us have reacted. It's hit so close to home here in Atlanta, what happened with TWA, certainly with the athletes here, since security is of utmost importance to them. And I know you've got a report on that.
Exactly. The explosion of TWA Flight 800 has certainly increased a sense of awareness about security here around the Olympic ring. Now, while officials say they don't know exactly what caused that crash or whether it was in any way related to the Summer Games, they're not taking any chances. Senior security officials here are concerned that if the crash is indeed a bomb, that it could be the first in a wave of terrorist attacks. But they concede there's little more Olympic security can do. Athletes have mixed feelings. The team manager of the U.S. judo team says everyone is scared.
All the U.S. team has been given beepers. We all get that information. It's a scary thought. To me, as a manager, I feel responsible for everyone, so I'm scared for them.
But David Robinson, Team USA basketball captain, says he feels safe.
To be honest with you, I don't know how much more they can heighten it. It's been pretty intense.
Getting into Olympic Village is difficult, even for the media. Now, this is one of just many security checkpoints surrounding the perimeter of Olympic Village. Security is tight, and today they're not taking any chances.
No filming in here. No filming? None. I'm sorry, not in the security area. You're more than welcome to. Just don't do this in here.
Okay. You need to stay away from the fence or you're going to trip the sensor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Show you just how tight security is. We were out here, and another station, we won't give the call letters, left a bag unattended, I know, for maybe 2-3 minutes. Right. When they came back, the officials had the area cordoned off. They were getting ready to blow it up. They
actually told a security guard, hey, we're going to leave this bag here. We'll be right back. Could you watch it for us? Right. And that sort of thing you have to think through around here because, again, it's so tense. You know, they can't take any chances with stuff like that.
That's right. Well, despite the tragedy in Long Island, the Olympic Games are moving ahead, and, of course, the Olympic torch has arrived in Atlanta. It's in its final lap, as a matter of fact. We've shown you the torch traveling across America, and tonight the flame is in Atlanta. Patriotic crowds dressed in red, white, and blue came out to cheer on the final few miles for the torch. It is just as stirring and emotional a trip as it was just a few weeks ago when the torch came through Huntsville and Decatur. Of course, the torch will not stop now until it enters the Olympic Stadium tomorrow night to light the cauldron during the opening ceremonies, and of course we'll bring you the highlights right here on Channel 48.
And of course the finale, the grand finale, is the lighting of the cauldron when the torch goes into Olympic Stadium tomorrow. They're keeping it hush-hush as to how that's going to take place. It's always the big secret, but there's word that they may want to make it simpler, a little more simple this year. You know, the last time they had the arrow, the flaming arrow that lit the cauldron. They may be a little simpler, but always interesting to see how exactly they do it, and that we'll find out tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, Sports Director Daryl Green joins us now. You've got a pretty interesting story tonight, too.
I do, but first of all, let me say something about that torch. We got an Olympic Stadium night before last. Jim Heinrich and I, photographer Jim Heinrich, got in. We got a sneak peek of things. There's a ramp that runs from the south end of the stadium through the middle of the stadium and up, leading up to the torch they're building. They're still building it right now, so they're trying to keep it simpler, but there's still a sense of flair to it, I guess you could say.
There's a ramp involved.
There's a torch flare, I guess you could say.
It's going to be great.
Let's talk about a former Huntsvillian real quick. He's the son of an Army captain. His name is Mark Lindsay. He spent some of his younger days growing up on Redstone Arsenal, and wouldn't you know it, this all-American boy was born on the 4th of July.
In 1992, Mark Lindsay found his 15 minutes of fame. The 7-time world champion came home from Barcelona with the gold in the 3-meter springboard competition. No surprise. But he did make some waves when he climbed down the ladder last year and took off for flight school. But after 2 months of retirement, he found his way back to earth and on the boards again. Now he's hoping to cut the water here in Atlanta.
It's been a long, tough year. Good comeback, though. I got myself in trouble at the trials and had to do something pretty spectacular to get back, and I did. So for me, I know I can win it again. I'm going to go for the win, but if I don't, I personally feel like anything that I do from here on out is just a bonus, so I'm going to give it my best shot.
The road back has been a tough one. A lot of board work, or practice, if you will. Hitting the water thousands of times takes its toll on a 28-year-old trying to keep up in a sport for the young of body. But Mark thinks he has a few good dives left.
Age has never played a factor in my diving career because I started when I was 18, which is late. I'm 28 now, and I'm still diving as good as I was before. So I'm just kind of enjoying it as much as I can. Don't take it too serious because it's all going to end here in a couple weeks, and I'll be done diving. So I'm just going to have fun.
And, you know, talking to Mark today, you could tell that he's really enjoying this experience. He said in 1992, it was kind of stressful. You know, being a 7-time world champion, an 8-time U.S. champion, there's a lot of pressure on a guy to go to an Olympic event and perform at his peak and win a gold. He's got the gold in the pocket now, so he's at this one. He's picking up the free T-shirts and stuff and really just having himself a blast.
You picked up a free T-shirt at the Speedo place today.
As a matter of fact, I got 2 free T-shirts. I'll get you one later.
Daryl thankfully did not pick up a Speedo, though. That's what
you guys told me you did.
All of the Tennessee Valley were waiting with bated breath to hear, and he did not. I can tell you that, thankfully. Right. It's been a long trip already, hasn't it? The opening ceremony is coming up tomorrow night. We're looking forward to that. We'll be all over that story all day long tomorrow. That is the story, of course, tomorrow, and a lot of excitement around Atlanta. We'll be talking to folks going in, coming out, and of course you can see it all live right here on Channel 48. But for Kim and Daryl, that's it. Live from the Athletes Olympic Village. Let's go back to you.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to your coverage tomorrow.
All right.
Okay.
Well, our top story at 5, the opening ceremonies in Atlanta. All eyes are on the Olympic City this evening, and the excitement can be felt from Atlanta to Birmingham and to Huntsville. Channel 48 news anchors Mark Thornhill and Kimberly Essex are in Atlanta with a preview of tonight's thrilling ceremony, and I say let the games begin.
That's right. Let the games begin. And as Michelle said, you know, this is the night we've all been waiting for.
We've been counting it down literally after months, years around these parts anyway. And that sign that's been over the interstate here that's counting
it's
down.
Time.
Interesting to see, 0 on that. It has marked. We're at Centennial Park. I want to add that too. Jim, if you can look around here, we can see a very brisk crowd tonight. Braving the Atlanta heat here, and it has been the happening place here. The week we've been here, I can tell you that. Lots of fun here.
If you see the water over there, you'll find lots of folks over there trying to stay cool too. So while they're out enjoying themselves, they are reminded that it is hot out here. But as we said, as Michelle said earlier, this is the night we've all been waiting for since we found out that Atlanta had won the right to host the 100th anniversary games. And of course, you can check out all of the action right here on Channel 48 just in a little over 2 hours from now. When the world tunes in, they will see a spectacular opening ceremonies. In fact, it's estimated that 3.5 billion people will tune in around the world to watch it. There's a magic in the air. The sign says it all. it's time.
It's definitely a big deal here. I mean, you just walk around and you can just kind of feel the excitement of just not only the city and just, I guess, the entire Southeast. Even though we're not from here, it's just pretty exciting.
President Clinton is here telling the U.S. athletes at Olympic Village their lives will never be the same and reminding them of the awesome responsibility of being a role model for young people. The Olympic torch is almost ready, making its last few miles through the streets of Atlanta today. On the Today Show, the producer of tonight's big show gave us some more hints of what we'll see.
You'll be seeing a show that hopes to pay respect to all of the Olympic protocol, the items that are rooted in Olympic tradition, and to us, that's the most important thing.
In fact, your edict was to celebrate the Centennial Games.
That's correct. I mean, this is a rare opportunity. I mean, for the first time in history, we're going to have, every invited nation will have athletes there, and I mean that is something that we hope to put in the right emotional framework. And for one brief moment, the world is more or less united. And we hope that we can kind of take advantage of that moment and move people and help people understand that while the Olympic movement is not perfect, it still is the best hope of, I think, peace and understanding among young people today, around the world.
Mark, is absolutely going to be fantastic. I ran into a gentleman earlier this week who actually is working with the technical staff on the opening ceremonies, and he said after folks see the opening ceremonies, they'll never think of Atlanta the same again.
It sounds like it's going to be something else. Videographer Jim Heinrich and I were among the last employees of NBC affiliates to check out the Olympic Stadium setting earlier today. In fact, we caught the last shuttle bus out there barely at noon. Security crews were busy closing down the roadways out there, getting ready for tonight. The traffic a lot different around there than it's been. And I can tell you that if you want to go anywhere near Olympic Stadium tonight, you better either have a ticket with you or you better have a handful of money to get a ticket.
As you can see, a whole stadium full of empty seats right now. Could be some empty seats there tonight, believe it or not. What's that you say? Isn't this the hottest ticket in town? Well, yes and no. The asking price, cheapest asking price right now, as we understand it, $636. The burning question is, would you pay over $600 to see the opening ceremonies? You got a ticket to tonight's opening ceremony?
Not at all, unless you want to give me one.
See, that's my question. Would you spend $600 for a seat?
Oh, no, not that much.
Why not? What's it worth to you?
Say 50.
You know what tickets are going for?
Well, originally $636, I believe.
Right.
But I've heard that some people who had them were selling them for upwards of $1,000 or so.
Now, what's it worth to you to get in and see this stuff tonight? Is it worth that?
No.
What's top dollar? What would you pay, the most money you'd pay to see this? 100?
To be there would be kind of neat because you get the atmosphere and everything of actually being there, but at home I think you'd probably see better.
The street vendors were also busy this afternoon, setting up shop along the sidewalks outside the stadium. They'll be selling everything from shirts and hats and cups to, yes, some real Georgia clay.
Buy me some of that Georgia clay to take home to my kids.
Nice souvenir.
That bird's eye view that we were able to get today is kind of interesting. That was atop Carter Hall over there. Nice view, actually on the roof of a building, and that's the NBC Nightly News set where we were. That's where Tom Brokaw is going to be reporting throughout the Olympics each and every night. So that was a thrill too. They're busy setting up that studio up there as well.
And we were on the Today Show set last night, so that was pretty neat too.
I would say the world is here, and NBC World is here too, and it's such an event there at the stadium. I know many of us are not even going to be able to get anywhere near it, but I think they've got a big screen down here, downtown at Centennial Park, that a lot of folks are going to be gathering and watching it. So
we'll show you that tonight at 10.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is lots of families out here at Centennial Park, and this whole event is really a family event, so you'll want to have your family gathered around the television tonight. We thought we'd give you a sort of a guide to follow so you'll know what's going on tonight. The festivities, of course, begin at 7:30 with the introduction of the heads of state at 8 o'clock. Then comes what's being billed as a show-stopping production number featuring cheerleaders, dancers, and 30 chrome-plated pickup trucks. That will be interesting to see. Now, just before 9 tonight, the Parade of Nations begins, and this, we understand, may be the last year for the Parade of Athletes into the stadium. Producers say it simply takes too long to bring in 10,000 athletes. So look for the U.S. athletes to come in, I think, around 10:15 or so tonight. At 10:40, the president officially opens the games, and at 1 minute past 11, the secret is revealed as the Olympic cauldron is lit. So we will be back here live with opening ceremonies, after the opening ceremonies, with a special edition of 10 at 10. We'll have some highlights and some behind-the-scenes action, and you won't see that anywhere else, so be sure to join us here on Channel 48 for the opening ceremonies of the Centennial Games in Atlanta. We are excited about that.
As we said, we've been waiting so long. It is hard to imagine
it's finally here. That's
and
right.
Again, you've got the best seat in the house right here on Channel 48 coming up tonight.
That's it from Atlanta. We'll toss it back to you, Tom and Michelle.
It's going to be a big night, and you guys are right in the middle of it.
Yes, sir.
All right, have fun.